And now it's time to hear from another Wayfinder graduate who is here to tell us how she found her way to become an emergency medical technician and a firefighter. She's just the kind of person you want to see in an emergency. Please welcome Rebecca Doyle.
I'm not a writer. You'll have to forgive me for that. My stuff isn't as beautiful as the things that we've heard earlier. Okay. I graduated from the Passages program in 2016, so it's been a minute since I've been there. I first applied to the program when I found out I was pregnant at the age of 16 myself, hoping to continue my education alongside parenthood. I was a meticulous student. I was on the honor roll at the time and desperately wanted to make a point of transferring schools. I was terrified of being stereotyped as a dropout because of the way that my life was changing, growing. Passages gave me that opportunity and so much more. Passages itself is a beautiful program. Alongside the typical classes that you would expect to take in high school, this program also educates its new or soon-to-be parents on many subjects we otherwise may not have considered. There's early childhood development. They did driving permits, CPR certifications, and a singular larger project that was called The Passage. These were a few of my favorites, and the few that stood out in particular to me and how much that I've achieved today. At the age of 14, in 8th grade, I attended a field trip. It was called the Totally Trades Conference. It was at the Midcoast School of Technology. Our middle school at the time brought all of the girls in our grade to MCST to introduce them to the multitude of trades that MCST offered. Many of the girls were interested, in the cooking and the CNA programs, but that wasn't for me. This is exactly where my interest in EMS was born. During the EMS demonstration, the teacher at the time had us place a student on a backboard and secure them. We use a bunch of straps to secure a patient to a backboard, and it was really funny because to demonstrate how secure the patient was to the backboard, we ended up flipping the poor volunteer upside down. It was funny. I loved learning how to do that. First of all, the technicalities were pretty cool. And I couldn't believe that it'd be possible that I could someday be the person to answer that call and get to do it in a more serious manner. After waiting what felt like 50 years to finally turn 16, I took my first basic EMT course. That was in the years of 2013 to 2014. It was also during my pregnancy and tenure with the Passages program. The Passages program is designed to work with and around pregnancy and babies. EMT school is not. I remember riding to the school bus in the mornings, desperately begging myself not to vomit, using the school bathroom, hoping nobody could hear me. They could. I remember taking my teacher at the time, Mike Drinkwater, aside and telling him that I was pregnant. I was so scared that I wasn't going to be allowed to continue the course, but I was allowed, and I did finish. We made a joke about seeing how long it would take the class to realize I was pregnant. Instead of my pregnancy being a hindrance to the class, Mr. Drinkwater, myself, and all the other students used it beneficially. So that's how you secure a person to the backboard. How would you do it if they were 9 months pregnant? And so when your water breaks, you're gonna come straight to class, right? So we can all learn how to birth a baby. I'll always be thankful to Mr. Drinkwater for his support. It wasn't loud. It was calm, quiet, and steady. It was the backbone that I needed at that time. He didn't make a big deal out of it. And he still let me continue class. So this changes a little bit. Learning how to become a productive member of society and how to be a parent at the same time is a daunting task. I was a young mother with little to no support from the adults in my life. I had the drive, I had the determination to educate myself and grow, but I was stunted with little support. Many of the adults in my life felt that I had made my bed and now must lay in it. I was playing life on hard mode when it didn't have to be. I spent the 2 months before I turned 18 applying to apartments after being told that I needed to move out when I turned 18. Somehow I managed to make it happen. My daughter's father and I lived in that apartment that we secured together and both worked full-time jobs. We worked as hard as we possibly could to keep ourselves afloat, to keep a roof over ours and our wonderful daughter's heads. I was so overwhelmed at the time. I was trying so hard with school, work, and parenthood that I didn't pass the NREMT. I even tried to quit passages. But my teachers have my back and showed me that I could do it. And I mean that quite literally. They showed up at my house and had an intervention and said, "You're not quitting school." They weren't letting me go, no matter how overwhelmed that I was. Through talking about why I felt like I couldn't complete my education, we actually ended up coming up with the project idea for my passage, which again, if you remember, that's kind of the end project that we do. My teachers helped me to see for the first time that it wasn't selfish to step back and take a break, and that you need to take the time for yourself, which is precisely what I was begging for when I was trying to quit. That is exactly what my passage ended up becoming about. It was about self-care. They taught me how to push through and succeed without burning out in real time. I could not have the successful career as a first responder that I do today if I never learned how to take care of myself first. In 2020, I was in a car accident. A man driving a car went over the median and struck us head on. Nobody in my car was hurt, so it's okay, don't freak out. But the man, he was inebriated and he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. He ejected through his windshield. And I don't remember a lot from it, but I remember him stumbling up to me, and he was covered in glass and blood and slurring his words. He was yelling at me and my husband and telling us not to be mad at him. I remember feeling red-hot anger and fear. I froze, and I was even angry at myself in that exact moment that I didn't remember my EMS training from years ago enough to help. So instead of being mad at him, I turned it into an opportunity. I thought to myself, if this man can drive, I can drive. I didn't have my license yet at the time. I probably should have told you guys that. I held on to my driver's permit for a decade before I was terrified of driving. So not having my driver's license was the only thing that was holding me back from becoming a first responder. So drive I did. I got my driver's license just a couple days after my 26th birthday. I know I'm a little late. I was hired as an ambulance driver 2 weeks later. I took another basic EMT course and passed the NREMT the first try. And I was on such a roll that I went straight to advanced school, and I passed that test on my first try too. Now I'm in fire academy, and my fire teacher is somewhere in this crowd cheering me on to earn my Fire 1 and 2 certificate. Next, when I have the time and the funds, I'll be going to paramedic school. So to conclude the story, you cannot help others if you yourself need help. I know that's why I couldn't help during that car accident. I know that now. So when the airplane that you're on is going to crash and those oxygen masks fall out of the ceiling, you're instructed to place one on yourself first before helping others for this exact reason. It's the first thing that you're taught in basic EMT school. Without the support of this Passages program and my wonderful teachers, Joy Knowlton, Andrea Atkin, and Martha Kemp, I would not be the advanced EMT and firefighter that I am today.